Hello everyone, my name is Valeria Frunze and I'm running an estate agency specialized in property investment, property development and portfolio management. I will go straight to the point and I want to talk about the new legislation that is being implemented for short-term rentals in Greece, and it's a very interesting video because I have several of my followers on YouTube asking me to create such a content. So here you go. I will go straight to the point so I don't keep you on your YouTube account or on your phone too long. So last year we had several new laws that the government implemented to be able to control the market, but also reduce the inflation, because there were a lot of people doing short-term rentals and there wasn't too many apartments available for long-term rentals as well. Because of the short-term rental market, the long-term rental prices went up and it couldn't compete with the salaries that the local Greek people will have. So it was a little bit unfair. So the government created these tax disadvantages for foreign investors in order to balance the market and control it in a way, which is good and bad. So it's good for the government and for Greece, is bad for foreign investors who were coming to Greece to have a high return on their investment. So I will go straight to the law. So in general lines, each property you invest in Greece, it has several type of fees and tax that you pay annually or monthly or so on and so on. So it doesn't matter in which industry the property goes. So if it goes on long-term rental or short-term rental, you'll still have to pay ENFIA, which is an important tax. It's ENFIA is calculated per square meter and depends on the region that your property is. It goes from like 200 euro and up, depends of region and space. Now you have on short-term rental and long-term rental, doesn't matter, you have income tax, rental income tax, which starts from 15% and goes up to 45%, and it's calculated depending on the volume of the rent that you collect every year. So I think if it's below 12,000, you will pay 15%. If it's above 12,000 euro, you'll pay more. And that there is like a scale that you can check online and see which tax percentage you're entering in. Now, last year, 2024, the government added another tax on short-term rentals for those who have more than 3 apartments on Airbnb or Booking.com. It's a tax that is called VAT tax, added value tax. And for those who are renting more than 3 properties and they're physical people, not companies, then they pay 13% tax on the top of rental income tax, ENFIA, and obviously platform fees, which are, if you're renting it on Airbnb is like 3%, but if you rent your apartment on Booking.com, which is the major platform, and it's the main platform that gives you like 60% occupancy, then it's 16.6% that goes to the platform. Yeah, so it's quite a lot actually. And then you have municipality tax 0.5%, and this tax, the next one, is very interesting. So this is climate fee tax. This is like a symbolic tax for people to adapt to the fact that they have to pay extra tax, and it's like a ridiculous one, but it's useful because it kind of adds cost, and in the same time it kind of screws you up. Additional to the 13% VAT. But so the climate tax last year was 50 cents to €1.50. This year is 8 euro in high season, that's like summer months, and is 2 euro per day in low season, which is now like January, February until March. So it's 8 euro or 2 euro per day, depends on the season. Yes. And then you have like other costs like cleaning, our expenses like buying toilet paper and shampoos, and sometimes you have to upgrade the bedding and all these things. So by calculating all these fees collectively, let's say if you were charging €100 a night, then you will pay, we will exclude the NFIA or the other stuff. You will have income tax, which is, let's say, hypothetically speaking, 15%. Then you have VAT, 13%. Then you have municipality fee, €8. And then you have the platform fee, which I will normally calculate the booking.com, which is 16.6%. So, and other costs. So you end up with like more than 50% of your income going in fees and costs. So you end up with literally less than a half of that cash into your pocket. So what that means that the properties that are on the market for like €30 a night, because this is the average price for Athens, let's say, considering that it's the capital. If you go to other cities or smaller towns, they might be actually lower. So if you're having an apartment that is like earning you €30 a night, then it makes more sense to rent it on long-term basis and have no hassle of running this operation than keeping it on short-term rental and have the hassle of paying the tax, dealing with doing the customer service, and don't forget you have three kinds of human resources involved, because you have your guests that sometimes they are kind of moody and mean and rude and upsetting. You have the cleaner that has to go and clean, and sometimes they don't turn up, sometimes they don't answer the phone, so they have their own issues that kind of inflicts on your life. And you have sometimes things that break, and like handyman and things like that you have to deal with. So it's a very big scale operation for very little money. So, and that was the main psychology behind the government to implement this legislation, so that it makes you uncomfortable and make sure that you're putting your apartment on long-term basis, so that they can balance that particular market, because everyone is kind of excited to do Airbnb and get double the rent, and then we are left with young professionals that they are earning €1,000 a month that can't actually afford to pay €500 to €600 for their accommodation, because it's more than half of their salary. So it's understandable. Now there is another law for 2025 which is very interesting. So for those who didn't do any short-term rental before 2025, so they decided that they will buy a property in Greece and rent it on short-term rental in 2025, then I have bad news for you, because in order to place the apartment on short-term rentals, you will need a special license with a special code which is called AMA. So this AMA code is actually frozen. The government will not give it to you. So if you bought an apartment in a highly touristic region where there is a lot of hotels, a lot of existing Airbnb, then you will not be able to get an AMA code to advertise your apartment on short-term rental. And without the AMA code, you will not be able to make it live. So that's a very important thing, because by freezing the new licenses for short-term rentals, it kind of generates instability and uncertainty, and this is also not interesting for those who are coming and investing in Greek real estate, because any investment needs certainty. So that kind of puts us off as investors, because Greek government changes the law overnight, and then we don't know what to expect next year, and also devalues our properties. Of course, it will make a big mess on long-term rentals, because when you place an apartment on long-term rental, there are different type of apartments. So when a property developer invests in an apartment, then and creates a renovation for that particular market. Let's say if you buy an apartment, let's say the same apartment, and you want to rent it on long-term basis, then the renovation for that apartment will be half of the renovation for short-term rentals, because when we do short-term rentals, the apartment has standards and it has to have charisma. So we will hire an interior designer, we will buy a more expensive kitchen, we will buy an orthopedic mattress, a better bed, we'll buy more expensive artwork and so on. So, let's say if a simple renovation is like 15,000, an Airbnb renovation will be 30, 35, and so on. Depends how luxurious you want to do it. Maybe you want a smart apartment that adds, a lot of cost. So when it adds cost, it drops the, the return on the investment, especially with the new law. So and what happens is, because the government is kicking us out of the short-term rental business, then all these sexy apartments that they were renovated for short-term rental and with interior design, they go on the long-term market, and it kind of drops the value of those who were purposely renovated for long-term rental, like cheaper renovation. So those with a cheaper renovation will drop in price, so will be cheaper than last year, and obviously the value of it will drop, because when you want to sell it, the return on the investment will be lower than what it was 2 years ago. So that creates some sort of disbalance, and also because of the new law, many purchases, many sales were blocked. So that kind of gives us, it's like a bounce back on the real estate market. And then another law, which is quite interesting, and I completely agree with it. So the Greek government decided that there are some apartments that are not ticking the box on they're not good for short-term rentals. They can't provide a hospitality service. So that is referring to basements and former storages. So ground floor basements, they will not be able to get licenses at all for short-term rentals, because the government thinks that they are not good and they don't fit with the standards for short-term rentals. So like, this is quite interesting. It's completely bouncing back the market. It kind of disbalanced it, because whatever movement the real estate market had until now, it will probably drop in half. So there will not be as much interest as before, because many people invested in residential real estate, particularly to have an Airbnb in Athens, and sometimes use it when they come and visit Greece. So that's unstable. We don't know what will happen to it, and obviously it drops the value on sale. So when you want to sell that property, it doesn't have as much value as 2 years ago. So really, it balances the market. Obviously, it keeps the inflation down, or where it is, but it also gives uncertainty. So we don't know what it will happen. We don't know if the Greek government next year will add something else that will kind of screw us up. So good luck in your Greek real estate investment, and good luck in house hunting if you're looking for properties to buy or rent. And I'll see you soon with new information.